Oh, hello there, wherever you're listening, however you're listening, joining us live on the Reality After Show YouTube channel or joining us over on the Bobby Goodsby Twitch stream. Thank you so much for spending even just a little bit of your time with us here tonight on the Survivor 49 After Show. I'm Gabe Ortis, joined alongside producer Bobby Goodsby. I know what you're wondering, where's Jonny Fairplay tonight? Well, don't worry. In fact, if anything, actually take some relief that Jonny is not here tonight. He has episode 2 of The Floor with Rob Lowe that he starred on not too long ago, and episode 2 is starring tonight, and Jonny is in control of The Floor to open up episode 2. So if you want to see what Jonny's been up to, go check out episode 2 of The Floor on Fox or on foxnow.com after the show is finished airing. If you want to see Jonny go make a fool of himself over there, I know it's going to be a good show. I know I'm going to be tuning in for it. So we just had episode 2 of Survivor 49 wrap up airing, and I have a lot of thoughts. A lot of positive thoughts actually, and some negative thoughts. So we can get into it, but Bobby, please address the people.
Okay, so you guys, I had quite the day today, and I just want to go on a quick little rant to start it. Gabe knows nothing about this, so I'm excited to tell you guys at the same time. So today I decided I'm going to go get my haircut. It's been a matter of time. I need it to happen. Also, shout out to the Padres for winning today. So I decided to go get my haircut. And normally I go to Great Clips. Okay. And if you guys have seen the Netflix documentary Quarterback, Kirk Cousins goes to Great Clips and he shows a picture of himself. Well, the funniest thing ever is for at least a couple years now, I have been going to Great Clips and I show them a picture of Kirk Cousins because that's the same haircut I always get. Just randomly, that's the exact same thing he does on the Netflix documentary. My wife thought it was hilarious. It was a whole thing. Well, I went to go to Great Clips today, but they were closed. Randomly, Wednesday at noon, they're closed. So I decided to go to Supercuts. Never go there. They don't have my stuff all written down. So I go in there and explain to the lady, I want a one on the sides, faded up, and high fade, just like this picture right here of Kirk Cousins that I always show the people when I go in. So real quick, here's a quick picture of Kirk Cousins. So that's the haircut I'm looking for, right? This is what I got.
Oh, no. Oh, Bobby. Oh,
a
no.
Buzz cut. A buzz cut. In what world does this look like this?
Oh, no, Bobby. Supercuts. That's what happened. You got supercutted. You got
always go to Great Clips, everybody. All right,
oh
so
my God.
I told her how I wanted it. I wanted a one faded up to the line, no hard part, but faded up to the line, then scissor cut on top. But I told her I like it shorter. She's like finger length. I was like, no, like maybe a little bit more because then I don't have to come in here as much, right?
Yeah.
She goes and then she clips it to a one. I'm like, okay. And then she takes out a 4 and I'm like, okay, she's going to go up to the line like I asked her because that was still long. She goes up to the line and then just immediately goes, zzz, zzz, zzz. I'm like, there's no going back at this point. It's not like it's a rare steak and you're like, oh, I wanted it well done. Can you cook it up? No, it's like I got a well done steak and there's no way of making it rare. Right?
Did you did you say anything or did you just accept it as it was happening?
Oh, I mean, what am I going to say at that point? First off, I work in customer service, so I'm not going to be an asshole. But two, I'm going to vent to you guys about it, but I'm not going to say anything to her. But at the same time, I'm like, at that point, it's already done. Like it was just one fell swoop and it's already over. Like there's no going back. So I got to commit, right? So me and my wife were laughing our asses off. She was giving me such a hard time about it, just being like, oh, well, now you can really see her grays. And it is just a buzz cut if there ever was one. That's not a fade. There's no way that's a high fade in anyone's opinion. So then we're like, okay, well, let's go pick up our kid, right? So we go pick up our kid, and I'm like, we're waiting to see her reaction. I don't realize at her elementary school, this is the shirt I'm wearing.
Wow.
I totally forgot. So the whole time I immediately realized it. I'm like, I wish I wasn't wearing this fucking shirt.
Yeah.
I'm just going like this with my buzz cut, just like,
wow.
I had a day.
You look like a freak, dude. They're not going to let you at the school anymore. You look like a freak.
I'm like, dude, I'm that guy right now. I am that guy with this shirt on with the buzz head. Like it was a day. So I just had to get my little rant in there. Sorry, it's nothing to do with Survivor, but I thought it was hilarious.
Unbelievable. Crazy. All right, let's get into this episode here. So we get to episode 2 of Survivor 49. You get to see some of the fallout of Nicole getting voted out, which it seems like there was pretty much none. and we start off with the Red Tribe, right? That's kind of where the bulk of this episode starts.
Yep.
And
Yep.
we have Nate, who is the older movie producer, MCU Marvel producer, talking a little bit about how he understands that there's a generational gap between him and everybody else.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is funny to me because every season of Survivor, there's like an old person on every tribe, right? They do it every season. There's always somebody who's significantly older than everybody else. And every single season in the first few episodes, they always talk about, well, I'm the old person, I guess. And oh, what are they talking about? It's lit. What does that mean? It's fire. What does that mean? Oh, what's a vibe? How do I catch a vibe? Like, and yet it's something that I never get sick of.
I don't either. It was so endearing.
It's always fun to watch.
Yeah.
I think it's always fun to watch. I think it's always interesting to see how differently these older folks integrate themselves into a group of significantly younger people. I think it's always funny to watch them look at young people, be young people, and kind of shake their head and wag their finger and, kind of, what are you kids even talking about? And I appreciate getting to see that perspective through the lens of Nate. He's a very good narrator. I think he's great in confessionals. Yeah. And I think he has a good lay of the land right now. It's very early days, so I don't want to make any sweeping comments about his game. But everything he's saying, I always kind of find myself nodding along and being like, yeah, that's probably what you should be doing right now. And we talked about this last week with Jonny about how 3 tribes of 6 will almost always result in the same exact thing happening, which is a core 4 gets formed. They have 2 people who are on the bottom. And if they ever go to tribal, they pick one of those 2 people. If they go again, they pick the other person. And usually by the time you get to that point, you're heading towards some kind of tribe swap or merge, unless you're a disaster tribe and you really got to start eating yourself. And we see that happen on the Red Tribe. And we see a core 4 of Rizzo, Nate, Savannah, and Shannon come together. And so I'm going to return to the point I made last week.
Yeah.
Of this is very boring gameplay because we've seen it happen, but it's also very sound gameplay. This is what you should be doing, and they're doing exactly what they should be doing. And it seems like Nate is very cognizant of it. It seems like Rizzo and Savannah are certainly very cognizant of it. We haven't gotten a lot from Shannon yet, so I don't want to say that she's not, but I think she's the only person that we haven't really heard explain why it's good that this 4 is forming, although I have no doubts that she's fully aware of that. So I liked what I saw from the Red Tribe. I think there's a lot of gamers on there. I look at Savannah, I look at Rizzo, and I look at Nate, and I'm like, all 3 of these people seem to be playing the game with a good head on their shoulders. What do you make of Red so far?
Yeah,
from what we saw.
Yeah, so far Red is one of the strongest teams I've seen so far in a long time. Honestly, and the fact that they started with the core 4, I think that's always important, especially in the first couple of weeks. In these tribes of 6, you don't want to go in with a group of 3. A group of 3 is the worst thing you can do, right? Because then it allows the people, the bottom feeders, to just have to pull one person over, and then they're the ones who can take control. So you always want to have a solid 4. And I like this 4. I think this 4 is very strong. I think they each bring a little bit something different to the page. But also, I agree with you. The whole Nate talking about, the slang being used on camp, like, it's just so endearing. It really makes you closer with that character too, where you can relate. Even me I'm 36. Some of those words like, oh, that's cinema. Like, that wasn't something that was ever said with me growing up. Right. And now all of a sudden it's in this, it's in the zeitgeist of like common words used. Like, sure, vibes I can get with, but like, oh, that's fire, I can get with that even kind of. But like cinema, that was something that I think is like a Gen Z thing, right?
Yeah, so, and what's always enticing about that storyline, that early storyline of like, I'm the old guy, is that it changes, right? Exactly what you said. Like, it changes like through the years. So, when Rudy was on season 1 being like, well, I'm the old guy, what made those young people young are now what makes somebody like Nate old around a Rizzo and a Shannon. And so I think that's why that's always a good story to tell, is because the story's always changing as culture changes, as young people become old and new young people come into the fold. So it's always very entertaining. Yeah.
I feel like we went back to like millennials versus Gen X. Like, I bet you there's so many things that are now just like normal lexicon words that we use that were used then, and being like, what are they saying? What is
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
And now it's
yeah,
like that's just common things to say.
sure.
And that was only what almost 10 years ago. Like,
Yeah,
it's wild to me. But as far as this tribe goes, very strong four. I see this four working very well together and far into the game. Now, Jawan and Sage, I mean, I think they were outcasted for different reasons, but for fair reasons, right? Sage is fun. She's like the funny one to have on camp, but she is kind of a weirdo, right? Like she's
yeah,
like
sure.
she's a weirdo, but she's like an endearing weirdo, right? So she's someone that, because of the fact that she's so like off the wall, off like a little bit of an oddball, it might be hard for them to trust that, going far into the game, even though she does seem sweet and she does seem like, a cohesive part of that tribe. And Jawan is making all these moves by going into camp and trying to look for the idol. What I want to
Going on
get
the
into it a
journey.
little bit. What was your thoughts on him with the whole bag carrying wood and looking for idol stick?
Yeah, I thought it was like I I don't really know why you need the bag,
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought it was interesting. I thought it was something that we hadn't really seen before. And also it's a good way to carry sticks.
It was very
But
smart.
like
I thought it was a great idea until we found out it
yeah,
wasn't his bag.
yeah, which is like the big blunder. So it's like you had this neat idea, but your execution was so poor that it's like it doesn't even matter. But I just like I don't know. I feel like people have been going out collecting firewood and finding an idol and just like stuffing it in their pants and walking back to camp with all the firewood in their arms.
Yeah.
And it's like so when it comes to the idol hunt, I actually don't think that it was that innovative. Like, I don't think it
Yeah.
changes too much. But what I thought was funny was that when it comes to collecting firewood, I was like, oh, that's actually a good idea.
It's a good
That's a
idea.
much easier way to carry firewood. I don't think it makes hiding an idol that you found much easier. But for what was supposed to be the front of it, like I think that's actually where the utility is. Is like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
that's a good way to collect firewood.
here's the thing too, that like it would be actually a very smart idea to do that and bring that back, and you still stuff the idol in your pants, but then people are wondering what's in the bag. They're not even going to
Yeah,
think about your pants. So it
yeah,
is actually
exactly.
a genius idea for that point if you're actually thinking
Sure.
about it like that. The
4D
problem
chest.
I have is, even if it was your bag, why are you not taking your clothes out of the bag before you do that? Like,
Yeah,
just seeing all the bugs come out of the bag when Savannah's dumping it out, I'm mortified. I'm like,
yeah.
even if it was your idea to just take your bag and use that to get firewood, why wouldn't you take your clothes out? Because there's going to be bugs in your clothes. Like, it just seemed like a very like, what are you doing, dude, situation, regardless of whose
Yeah.
bag it was.
It was kind of like I feel like he had half an idea.
Yeah.
I feel like he had half an idea and then he just went with it. And like the other half of the idea, like it never really came to fruition. Like, okay, why does this make finding an idol easier for me to hide? Like, why didn't I take my clothes out of the bag before I put a bunch of bug infested dirty sticks in there? Like, there are more questions than answers that came out of this strategy from Jawan. But I like the attempt of innovation. I think that that's fun. I think
agree.
it created a fun sequence in the episode. And maybe we'll see copycats in the future also try to execute something similar, or maybe they'll find the other half of this idea that I think is missing at least. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with your statement that obviously we're shown that Sage and Jawan are the outsiders. Sage because she's kind of off the wall, probably having a more difficult time connecting with people,
Yeah.
and like that class clown role is always like kind of a tough role to find yourself in.
Mm-hmm. Who was
Because
the class clown on your guys' tribe?
for Tuku,
Yeah.
so I think people thought it was me,
Really?
but which is totally fair. But
Yeah. I mean, I can see it.
and once we merged, it was like me and Saul were definitely the class clowns.
Okay.
But I always thought it was Kyle because Kyle is the
Ah.
most unintentionally funny person I've ever met in my entire life. He is so funny. Kyle Oswald from 47. He is so funny and just says like the craziest like I'm gonna skip through this challenge like a stone on water. Like he has like just, but they just come out naturally. It's not
Yeah.
like he's
Yeah.
trying to say it to be funny. It's just how he talks, and it's
He's
so
like Jeff's
funny.
wet dream when it comes to like like saying
One-liners, like
like
snappy
one-liners. Yeah.
one-liners. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I was probably the class clown on Tuku though.
Gotcha.
And that's through the opinion of my fellow tribe mates, not me trying to assign that to myself, just to be clear as a disclaimer.
I can see it though.
But I think it's tough if you get put in that position to really connect with the people in your tribe, because it's like when you're out there, you kind of assign roles to everybody that you're playing with, whether it's strategically or socially. And some people you're like, you may not think about it in this specific term, but you're like, this is my therapist. Like if I'm having a really bad day or if I'm struggling or like very emotional, I'm going to go talk to this person because I know that they make me feel nice. They make me feel heard. If I want to laugh or goof off or something, I'm going to go talk to this person. If I, want to talk about like sports or, whatever, like my hobby is, whatever my passion is back at home, I'm going to go talk to this person because they share the same passion. And that like goofy class clown type character, I think is difficult to make genuine bonds with because people don't really take them very seriously, And I think that kind of exists in real life. So there's a value because you don't want that person to leave because it's like Sage makes everyone laugh. And if Sage leaves, I'm going to miss her so much because she takes my mind off of how hot it is out here and all my bug bites and how hungry I am and how stressed I am about the game. But also it's like, all right, if we're making a core 4, I don't think Sage is there, like, because I really connect with you guys, Sage just kind of makes me chuckle. And so I think that's a very tough spot to find yourself in from a social perspective because people don't take you very seriously. People don't really approach you looking for anything serious or meaningful. And I think in these early days, that's where Sage finds herself sticking. And this is my last comment on what we saw from the early days of the Red Tribe in this episode. There's a moment where the foursome comes together. Shannon, Savannah, Rizzo, and Nate. And they're all saying like, oh, I feel so comfortable with you guys. And we all compliment each other. everyone brings something different to the table in this floor. And all this kind of blah, blah, yada, yada, kiki, BS. And then Rizzo says the one thing that actually has substance to it in that scene to me. And he's like, yeah, all of that is great. But when it comes to getting all of us to the next round, this is vital. And like that's the perspective that everybody should be having. And Rizzo's just the one that verbalized it, of the idea of like all that bonding, we're all great and we bounce off each other great and we're so comfortable. Like, but let's remember, like, the priority of this is to get us to the merge. We need this 4, and if this 4 doesn't break for anything, then we will find ourselves at the merge. Like, that is done and dusted. It's just math. As long as we all stick together, we're all going to the same beach with everybody else at some point in this game. And like that is, what really matters here. That's what matters for these people in the pre-merge stage of the game, is how do I get to the merge? The way you do that in the new era is to find a group of 4 and to not break from them no matter what. So I thought that was a great line from Rizzo there. That really showed his strategic acumen and his wherewithal and understanding of what's going on around him.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think Rizzo is obviously, we're seeing reasons why he is going to be on 50, like what the traits of him as being a good Survivor player. I think we've gotten just a taste of it, but from what we're hearing are things I absolutely like. And the fact that how strong this 4 is, it really gives me longevity into Survivor. And the fact is, this episode was probably my favorite episode since Survivor 47. Right? Since Survivor 47, this was probably my favorite episode I've seen in 2 seasons. And here's the reason why. You had the buildup, and another thing I want to caveat by saying is that I always think episode 2 is one of the best episodes of every season, because you really get that character development that in the first episode, it's a lot of buildup. It's like getting to know you. Everyone's kind of getting to know each other. Then you're kind of force fed a lot of the competitions and stuff and the challenges. And then episode 2 is a lot of the development of the alliances and the tribe dynamics. And I think this episode was a prime example of when Survivor's at its best, with the editing, with the tribe development, with the characters on our screen. It really gave us a little bit of all of that in one. And the thing is, we start this episode and I'm like, okay, it's starting to seem like Red. They're showing us Red a lot. So maybe Red's going to tribal council. We see how Jawan's on the outs. We see how he's, using the bag, Savannah's bag, to use to go pick up sticks and stuff, and it's really putting himself in a bad position. So is this the tribe we're going to see that's going to tribal council? Then we go to Blue, and we get the dynamics of Blue and how, certain people like Annie might be on the outs, and how Annie's trying everything she can to put the target elsewhere. We get basically nothing from Yellow, but we get a little bit of Yellow, more so like where the alliances are starting to fall and how they trust each other. And then it just goes completely sideways with, a bunch of different things. And then when it came to, and I know we'll get there, but when it came to the vote out, it was like, I actually don't know which way this is going to go. Is there going to be a move made? So yeah. I really thought this episode gave me everything I wanted to see in a second episode where you're trying to get the development of the alliances and the gameplay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I look at this episode, and it's kind of, and I think that, to your point, this can kind of apply to any second episode of most seasons, especially New Era seasons. You kind of get to see like who's going to play, and whether that's and whether that's editing or whether that's like actually how it plays out. Like you really get to see like, okay, I've gotten my 2 or 3 days to get to know everybody. Like now I want to start implementing my plans. I want to start displaying my philosophy of how I want to play this game. And some people do that and they like succeed. Like we saw, that Force Someone Red do. Some people do that and they fail. And some people don't do that at all. Some people literally just sit there and just like kind of like watch the waves and I'm doing whatever, and just like, oh, things are happening around me. Tell me what to do. Okay, I'll do it. So that's kind of like the 3 camps I think you get put in episode 2 is like, are you actually playing and succeeding? Are you playing and failing, or are you not playing at all?
Exactly.
And I think that, we can kind of get more into it for the other tribes. But Red was definitely that sequence we got on Red that we're talking about right now. It's definitely like we got to see who's playing, not as much Rizzo in this episode as I thought there would be. Not really a lot.
I think with Rizzo, it's a lot of lead up, right? You're seeing the beginning stages of Rizzo, his alliance. We got a lot of Savannah. So Savannah a lot of Savannah, and even like a lot more Savannah than we probably should have gotten. It was like everything was from Savannah's point of view.
Yes.
So sure. It wasn't like we got anyone else's besides Nate with the whole, slang thing. But besides that, everything was coming from Savannah's point of view, which obviously spews really well for like possible winners at it. But another thing too is at least we got the dynamics of where they're at, how their tribe dynamics are, and then Rizzo got little tastes of what can be, and I think we're going to get more of that as we go on. Now, I do want to get into the Blue tribe, and we see Annie on the bottom. Like, we knew this going into this episode. Annie was going to have a lot of work ahead of her to be able to save herself. What do you take of her immediate draw to put the target onto Jake, of all people, and do you think that that was the right move for her, coming back from possibly, from being on the outs, even though she doesn't really think she's on the outs?
Yeah, I like the move of going after Jake. I actually like it a lot. Yeah. What I don't like was the execution. I don't think it's ever going to work. Like it is so played out at this point, and it usually never works when you try to pitch the strongest person on your tribe as a post-merge threat. Like that it just doesn't work. It's too far in the future for people to care about when you're out there playing, and like just the idea of like, and I mean that from a physical standpoint of just being like, I know that he's the strongest, but once we get to the merge, he's going to win all the individual challenges, so we should vote him out now. Like that's a terrible argument. That argument sucks.
Honestly, from Annie's point of view, she should have realized, okay, we've lost 4 straight challenges or 3 straight challenges, whatever it may be. We've been the bottom dwellers. We're the ones on the outs right now when it comes to numbers in this game. We can't take out, like, the strategy to try to take out your strongest guy is not good. When you are maybe 4 episodes in and your team has consistently won, and you're like, okay, we might be getting to the point where we have a merge or we have a, switching up the tribes, tribe swap, then maybe you throw out the idea of, hey, before tribe swap happens, should we take this shot now? We have the numbers still. That is valid. But when you are already on the bottom, it is not valid to recommend taking out your strongest player. It's not going to work.
Here's why I like it, though, is that I think there's a way you can sell that of first being like, look, if we can lock in 3 people on this tribe, like, once you go down to 5, if we can lock in 3 people as a majority, we're not going anywhere. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna make it to a swap, and if there's no swap, we're gonna make it to the merge. Like, very, very seldom do we see a tribe go down to 2 people before you make it to the merge or some kind of swap. And I think that you can sell Jake as this very chaotic, potentially hothead. And I think that there's a sale there of like, look, we're already losing challenges with Jake, right?
Yeah.
Like he's here and we're losing. So how much is he doing for us really?
I
Like,
get that.
and B, like if we're going to be going to tribal because we're losing, we should have the least amount of chaos possible if we think we're going back to tribal. And Jake is clearly the most chaotic guy out here. Now, maybe he's not presenting that as much as we're getting
I think
from
that's
the
the
audience
case.
perspective, which
Yeah.
I think is, yes, probably true. But he's also very clearly, and everyone kind of seems to agree with this, like taking this alpha role. And I just think that there's some things where you can go, hey, he's kind of a hothead. He's also kind of this like alpha dog. And if you think that's going to change and not put a target on our back when we get to a tribe swap or when we get to the merge, like that's going to come back and bite us. If he gets to the merge or a tribe swap and we're with him and he's calling shots again and trying to direct votes and lead things, people are going to see us as viable targets to kneecap his game. And that's a bad position to be, where it's like, well, I really want to hurt Jake, but he's got immunity, or I really want to hurt Jake, but I don't know if I can get the votes for him. But I can
Mhm.
get the votes for Sophie, or I can
Mhm.
get the votes for Jeremiah, or I can get the votes for Alex. And it may not get out my main target, but it'll make him a hell of a lot weaker going into the next round. And that is a position you don't want to be in if you're not Jake. So I do think that there are some good moves to make against Jake there. I just think she went with like the easiest, most played out cliche
Mhm.
route to make that move. So I actually I don't hate it. I don't hate the idea. Again, kind of like Jawan's fire collecting bag. I
Yeah.
just I
The
hate the
execution.
execution of it all.
Yeah.
And I think that Annie is somebody who like it, I don't know, maybe she throws out Jeremiah. Like
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think it's smart to throw out Sophie the way she did, because that's her one other female compatriot.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't want to just hand it over to the guys and you're already on the bottom. But I kind of like the big swing there from Annie. But the thing is that she reneges on it.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah.
it comes time to the vote, she chose like the one person that nobody wants to get out of the game on that
Yeah.
tribe, right? She's working great with Jake. She's working great with Alex. She's Jeremiah's number one. Like she chose the worst possible person to go after to try to save herself.
I will say this. Honestly, we'll get to it in a little bit, but when she does switch her, her target to Sophie, I think that was like the best move she could make, because
Really?
here's the thing. Jake seems to be good with everyone, right? And that's why I thought was Annie's worst move was the fact that she was going after the guy who's a big, strong guy who is also good with everyone. Every single person has great ties with Jake. So the selling point there isn't as strong as if you were to go after a Jeremiah or even a
Yeah.
Sophie. Now, the thing is, she didn't portray to Alex enough why it was so important to go after Sophie, right? And like she needed to ring true to him that, hey, if we take out Sophie, Jake's going to instantly go to you, right? Like you're going to be Jake's number one. Right
Yeah.
now, from my perspective as Annie, I'm thinking, hey, Sophie is probably Jake's number one. You need to sell that Jake is closer to Sophie than Jake is to Alex. So if you have that idol, if you want to make a move, that person is now going to be your strongest ally, and they're going to be completely in your corner because you are the person that they are the next closest to. So if you take out that possible other number one for the guy that you want to work with, then boom, you got rid of the one person that's in your way of that relationship.
And I have to imagine, and please forgive me, Annie, because I know all the cast members watch this show every week, but please
Okay.
forgive me if I'm wrong about this, but I have to believe that Annie was like really not clicking socially with this tribe. And I know we got a little bit of that in the beginning of this sequence where she's like being bossy about the coconuts and
Yeah.
like she's, but she's not doing a whole lot of work around camp. Like, this very classic Survivor storyline that we get. But just the fact that like she was very locked in with Alex. And
Yeah.
I think like that was very legit. I think that she was like, I will never write your name down. You are my number one. I think when Alex approached her, that was a very genuine approach of like, I want to work with you. You're my number one. Exactly, exactly like I did with Sue. And then he was so quick to turn on her.
Yeah.
And if you're Alex and you take out, let's say, Sophie, or you take out Jeremiah, you have two bona fide locked in number ones on
Yeah.
your tribe. On a
Yep.
tribe of what, four people
4.
left, two of the people left are your absolute bona fide number ones. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And you're taking two big time allies into whatever the next phase of the game is, whether it's a swap or whether it's the merge.
Yep.
And to so easily turn your back on the prospect of that for a situation that is far less predictable, I have to imagine that she was just kind of hard to live with. Like that was my takeaway from it. And I don't want to get too much into the vote out because we have more stuff to talk about.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. We'll
So
get there.
I'll get back
I
to
have
that.
a lot to add to that for sure.
Yeah. And so let's hop over to the next and last pre-challenge sequence that we get, which was Hina, the yellow tribe.
Yes.
And we get to see some of their dynamics play out, which we really did not get to see like any of in the first episode. And the one representative that we got from this tribe, we got almost none of in this episode, which was Steven. Where was Steven? We got zero Steven this episode, and he was the only guy who talked from this tribe in the premiere.
Well, we got more of Steven than we ever did of Jason. Jason, literally, I forgot he was even on the season until the challenge when he's doing the puzzle. Like, we got literally zero of him.
And we got nothing of him in the first episode.
No, I don't think Jason's long for this game, if I'm being real with you.
Yeah, which is tough. But I look at this yellow tribe, and we see once again a foursome tries to create itself in Steven, Christina, Matt, and MC. That was the four that they were trying to make, right?
Yep.
And MC is the fourth wheel. They kind of have a trio, and then Matt says, I want to bring an MC, and everybody's cool with that. And MC's like, well, actually, I'm not cool with the fact that I'm the fourth wheel. And I got to say, whether it works out or not, I don't know, but I love the approach that MC took. No one wants to do the wounded birds approach that Gabe pioneered in season 47 of Survivor, where instead of just going with the majority group, you take a swing and say, you know what? I'm actually not into the majority group. I think I'm going to go save the people who are on the bottom. And that is how you create an alliance in Survivor. That's putting action behind your words, because all these foursomes right now are only built on handshakes and easy votes. But if you decide to put your life on the line in this game to go save other people that are on the bottom of their tribe, just like I did with Sue and Caroline, that's how you make a lasting alliance, because all these people are thinking afterwards is, oh my God, I would have been the second or third person voted out of this game if Gabe didn't come up, tell me what was happening, and turn wheels to save me. And that's what it seems like MC's trying to do with Sophie on that yellow Hina tribe. I was so into that by MC. I was like, this rocks. Like, yeah, if you feel like you. Yeah, well, I mean, and I like, why not? If you feel like you're on the bottom of this four and you were just the extra warm body that they needed to have a majority on this tribe, like, why not go shake things up and go tell somebody, be like, hey, they want to vote you out, but I don't want to vote you out. And they're all scheming and they think I'm with them. Actually, I'd rather be with you. Like, that's gameplay right there. That's how you form a proper alliance. And that's how you build genuine trust with somebody. And I really want to see Hina go to tribal, because I want to see what actually comes from MC's early game scheming.
I think we're going to get that quickly. And the one thing I want to add to that is the way that this trio in Steven, Matt, and Christina did it is the worst way you could possibly try to start an alliance, right? They formed the three, and then you bring in the fourth person like, hey, we were just talking about it and we feel really good about you. Would you like to join us? Not, hey, I think this works. I think all three of us work. We like MC, but we can't make her feel like she's the last one to join this group. Let's go in groups of two, talk to MC separately, say we all feel good, and hey, this is actually who I feel good about. So if you're Christina, go up to MC, be like, who are you thinking about working with? Who do you like? And then be like, listen, I really like Matt and Steven. Do you think we could get them on board? Even though you already know Matt and Steven want to work with you, be like, let's go talk to them. and then you go up there and make her feel like she's one of the ones starting the alliance.
Yeah,
When
exactly.
you are the person who is the 4 of 4, then you feel like you're already the last man in the group, right? You're the last person standing. So you're the person that once it gets down to it, if the numbers dwindle, guess what? You're the first one gone. So that doesn't make you feel comfortable. So the fact that those three did it that way, I think that's the worst way to form a
Terrible.
4-person alliance. You either start 4 all together, or if you're going to bring in the fourth person, you have to do it separately and make them feel like it was their idea to build this alliance and that they're a part of it, not that they're the fourth one coming in.
Yeah.
And then, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go.
Oh, I was just going to say, and then for MC to go up to Sophie and to be like, listen, this is what they're saying about you. Boom, you've got an instant locked in number one. This person has instant trust with you. They think there's no reason this person's lying to me about this. They have everything to lose and nothing to gain. I know I can work with this person. And
that's
then
what I'm saying, dude. And like, and it's very risky. It's super risky because there is a world where they try to pull in Jason to this like Sophie MC deal that's being formed. And Jason could run over to the original 3 and be like, hey, MC ratted on you guys to Sophie that you guys want her out, but I'll vote with you guys if you guys give me this alliance. Like, so there's a lot, or also Sophie could be the person to do that. Now, that would be a very interesting move. If Sophie goes up to Matt, Christina, and Steven and says, like, hey, MC told me that you guys are coming for me. No hard feelings, but I just wanted you guys to know that she ratted on you. And if you guys want to work with me instead of her, because now you know she's a rat, I'll work with you guys and I'll be your vote if it takes me out of the bottom. Like, so there's a lot of things that can go wrong with this approach that MC's taking here. And so, like, for instance, when I went up to Sue and Caroline, particularly Sue, and was like, hey, like, they're really coming after you, but I don't want you to leave. I told you I want to work with you. I mean that. I felt very secure in doing that because I knew that Sue and TK really did not get along.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's no chance that she's going to go up to like TK and be like, hey, Gabe ratted on you and I'll work with you to get him out because he can't. I was like, no, she wants this guy out really, really bad. So and like,
it's not that character type either.
No, exactly. No. And so, I'm interested to see how those dynamics play because we don't really know anything about Sophie on the Hina tribe and we don't know anything about Jason. And they're going to be the ones who kind of decide how this first vote goes if they do ever go to tribal. So very intrigued to see that play out.
Well, and I'm very interested because they didn't bring in Jason, right? So like, usually that next step is, hey, let's go to Jason, let him know what these 3 are trying to do. And maybe we try to form something together and let him feel comfortable because we're bringing him in and letting him know about these 3 trying to form something. But we didn't get any of that. So it really worries me that there's something, that something's going to happen and maybe we'll see it in the next episode or maybe 2 episodes from now, but it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out because I think you bring up a lot of good points of could this backfire in her face or is this going to be like the best kind of strategy she could have in this situation, feeling like she's 4 of 4.
And so then we get into the first journey of the season and boy, oh boy, was this journey a dramatic improvement from all the journeys of seasons past. I mean, like night and day. Like it was like I know that this is not a safe space for praising production and Jeff, but Johnny's not here. Kudos, tip of the cap to them. They knocked this out of the park. This was everything that a journey should be. And for folks who maybe didn't catch it or whatever, 3 people decide to go on the journey from each tribe per usual. Matt, the white dude with dreadlocks on Hina goes. Jawan, who was carrying all the sticks in his bag from Red goes. And Jake, the big buff Canadian from Blue goes. And it's a physical competition. And this is one that is a variation of something we've seen in Survivor. Each dude has a net. There's a big pile of coconuts, and they got to throw coconuts into their opponent's nets to try to weigh them down so that they fall to the ground. Last net standing wins, right? This is fun. It's a physical challenge. It still takes some skill. There's stakes behind it that we learn after the challenge. And like, this is fun to watch. This is not just rolling dice. This is not pick bag 1 or pick bag 2 and your fate's decided. This is not sit here and do a puzzle by yourself, like against a timer. Like, this is a fun, adrenaline pumping, fun to watch, energetic challenge that we get to see. And Jawan ends up winning the challenge. And so he is faced with the decision. And this is what's cool about it, is that there's still a decision point, but you got to earn your way to the decision, which I think is really fun. So there's a choice that Jawan has to make, and it's either you can take option A, which is you get a disadvantage to impress upon one of the other tribes once you get to the immunity challenge. So you get to hurt one of the other tribes in the immunity challenge.
Yep.
That benefits everybody on your team. Or you can take option B, which is you steal a vote from each of your opponents in the journey. In this case, Matt from yellow, Jake from blue. And in exchange for stealing their votes, you get one extra vote in your pocket. So you can choose to help your tribe, or you can choose to help yourself while subsequently hurting the two opponents that you were going up against. And this is fun. I liked the choice you had to make here. What did you make of the journey, and what did you make of not necessarily Jawan's decision, but the options presented?
No, I think this is my favorite journey so far we've seen in a very long time. I think that I agree with you. I think they knocked it out of the park with this one because, one, as a viewer, I could pay attention and follow along with what was going on in the competition.
Yes. Huge thing, too. I didn't even mention. Yeah, it was easy to follow along.
Yes.
I wasn't sitting there waiting for a confessional to explain to me what was happening.
Yep.
It was
it's
a
just
very clear,
in the bag.
simple challenge. Yes.
Yes, it was. And the thing was, it was equal enough where I feel like anyone could win this competition. Now, I might have felt a little bit differently if it was like Jake against a girl out there, then it would have been a little more one-sided. But because it was three guys, I do feel like this was a fair fight. And we saw Jawan, who I probably would have predicted to be, the person who doesn't win this competition, end up pulling through and pulling it out. But I think the best part about this was you all knew that there was a challenge. Only one of you won. No one lost their vote. And guess what? When they all go, the one person that wins doesn't have to reveal what that thing is that they won. So no one ahead of time knows what he actually won. I think that's the best way to do it, right?
Yeah.
There's so many times where we see them go and they're like, okay, this is what's going to happen if you win. So then even if the person doesn't win, they can go back to their tribe and be like, hey, this is what they're going to win if they win it, or that they won it. This is what they're going to have. Not every time is it like that, but I like these times where, hey, you're going to win something. The other two don't lose their vote. And what you're going to win is going to be a secret. That I love. I think that's how it always should be. And the fact that he was presented two choices, I think that's even more fun because it's, do you go with the team or do you go with the individual? I think that brings up another dynamic is what kind of people are going to pick the individual type of thing and which people are going to pick the team thing that maybe they can use this to use as camaraderie with your tribe. What were your thoughts on the actual prize? And then what do you think of Jawan's decision?
Yeah, so I think I probably would have done the same thing in Jawan's position, where it's like, okay, you can have an extra vote, which is important, especially on a tribe of 6. Like an extra vote can swing everything. But I don't know, if you're in Jawan's position, he probably doesn't feel as on the outs as we know he is.
Yeah.
But like, I think it's a big deal that you come back and you can have a public declaration of like, I'm trying to be a team player here, guys. Like that helps a lot. I also think B, when you look at it logistically, like being able to win an immunity challenge is like just as good as surviving a tribal. Now there are clear differences between the two, don't get me wrong. But like if you can go out and, okay, I know we're going into an immunity challenge. There's going to be 3 tribes, 2 winners, 1 goes to tribal, and we can kneecap one of those tribes. Like the odds of us making it out of that alive, even if we come in second, skyrocket by whatever the disadvantage is going to be. You have to be operating under that assumption. And it's like, hey, like I got another round in the game, like by choosing to not only show myself to be a team player, but also by helping us avoid a tribal council. Like I'm another round in the game. And if I kept that extra vote, not only do I take the 2 votes away from my opponents, which is going to cause some bad blood if I have to see them again, but also like I have something that I have to hide now, and that's a burden. That's a burden to have in a game like Survivor. Like I have this extra vote, and do I tell anybody, and who do I tell? And then you tell somebody, and then they go tell somebody else, and then they're like, hey, I heard from so-and-so that you have an extra vote, but you didn't tell me that. So clearly I can't trust you because you've shown me that you trust them more than you trust me. And I'm going to go tell everybody that you have an extra vote. And now you have this big target on your back. Yeah. And so I can see how if you were like just destitute on the bottom, like you were 100% on the bottom and like you had nowhere to turn, maybe that extra vote is where you want to go. But in this scenario where it's this early in the game, I think the choice is obvious. I think you help the tribe, you give yourself an opportunity to win another immunity challenge, you live to fight for another round in this game. Like all very positive things come out of that. The extra vote choice is positive, but it also comes with burdens. There's no burden in taking the team advantage. No burden whatsoever.
Can I be honest with you? I felt like the team reward way outweighed the individual award. First off, when he read the individual award, I was not really understanding of what it really meant because I had to like wait for Jeff to explain it later, or for maybe not Jeremiah, excuse me,
Jawan.
Yes, thank you for Jawan to explain it later. Where I was like, wait, what does that exactly get you? So you get to steal someone's vote from the other tribe, and then you're now have that. It was very weird, right? It was complex, and I felt like, yes, just like you said, it instantly puts a target on your back with that other person whose vote you do steal, so that later on in the game, that person already has a vendetta against you. Yeah. Secondly, you're going back to the tribe, and then you have to make up a lie of what you actually won because you can't let that information out there, and it's only going to put a bigger target on your back when people find out you did win and you didn't reveal what you had. And then
no, please finish. Sorry.
And then 3, the team reward was such a huge, massive benefit to you and your tribe because it builds that camaraderie with your tribe. It shows you as selfless and that you're using this to build connections with people in your tribe. And then 2, if you use this advantage to slow down another tribe and you win, like that's already immunity for 1 week. You're essentially winning an immunity idol.
And a great point you made is that if you come back, you either have to lie about what you won, or even if you're honest, even if you're like, oh, I got an extra vote, I won and I get an extra vote, like that is also painting a target on your back. That's also something that people are going to be like, I don't know about that. Like Jawan kind of has a lot of control in this game, and maybe we just want to take that out of the game. So maybe like there's so many burdens that come with the sneaky individual choice, and there's just many positives that come with going with the team effort. And so Jawan ends up, taking, and then you can just go back in this and you can just, it's easy. Everything's so easy about it. Everybody tribe advantage.
It's a win-win.
And that's it. And that's the only conversation you have to have. And you have the proof of it too. Like
I love that they give him the proof too. Like the proof was like the biggest selling point of the whole thing. And we even saw Savannah, who was like the number one person wanting to get Jawan out after what he did with her bag and just him being on the outs to begin with. And he, like you said, he probably doesn't realize how on the outs he was, but then her just seeing that and seeing how selfless he was and willing to take that shot for the team when she was worried about him going on the journey to begin with. She even said herself, she's like, oh yeah, this bought him, at least a few more days.
Yeah.
I think even if they lost that challenge, I think he would have been safe.
Yeah. And so then we get into the challenge. Classic New Era Survivor challenge, as Johnny loves to say, you climb over something, you climb under something, and then you do a puzzle. The disadvantage was that the yellow tribe chosen by Jawan on the red tribe had to carry 20 pounds of coconuts on their back and a portion where they had to untie knots to get keys, where every other team had 1 key they had to try. The yellow team had 10 keys that they had to try. And despite all that, the yellow team still won. So it wasn't that much of a disadvantage, I guess.
Can I throw this out there too? Yeah. Just to go back to when they're on the mat and they have to choose, Jawan has to choose which tribe to put the disadvantage on. I think the biggest thing that I saw with the problem for him was he should have immediately, when he found out the stipulation of the rules, gone back and like, well, we're going to decide as a tribe and then huddle together, come to a consensus, and then be like, we as a tribe decided we're going to pick the yellow tribe. Not just him being like, I don't want to put any more burden on these guys, so I'm going to put it on these guys. Then everyone on yellow now hates you because you're the individual that did this to them. Not, hey, us as a tribe decided this is the way we're going to go. Because when it's an individual, it's a lot worse.
Yeah, and I think maybe there was some kind of like you have to choose, or maybe they did do the tribe huddle and we just didn't see it because it's so obvious to do that, right?
But,
that it
he
makes me
said,
think
he said, I choose. He said, I choose. So like it should be no matter what, even if you don't do the huddle, be like, we as a tribe chose before we came to the challenge,
or something.
We're going to pick the yellow.
Yeah, I agree.
Do not ever individualize it. Always put it as a we thing.
Yeah, and so we get to the end of the challenge. There's a big logo puzzle you have to do at the end. I did the same puzzle. And the blue tribe, who is coming off a tribal council, coming off an immunity challenge loss. They haven't won. They've lost 5 straight challenges. They have the biggest lead of anybody at the puzzle. They beat everybody to the puzzle by what seems like a wide margin, and they're a puzzle disaster. And they end up losing again, and they got to go to tribal again. And this just goes to show you, if you're going out on Survivor, practice your puzzles. It's the only thing that matters. It is literally the only thing. Nothing matters if you can't do the puzzle. If you can't do the puzzle, you will lose every single challenge. And I think that's a big reason why 47's pre-merge was so even, was because every tribe had people that were like pretty good at puzzles on it. Obviously Rome was a complete disaster on puzzles, and the 2 puzzles that he was on were the 2 that they lost. So like, yes, if you can't do the puzzle, you are going to lose a bunch. It's very, very clear that nobody on blue knows how to do puzzles. Sophie is great. She's one of my favorite players so far. We can get more into that once we get to this pre-tribal scramble. She sucks at puzzles. Sorry, Sophie. And maybe you'll prove me wrong when you get to the individual phase. Annie sucks at puzzles. Nicole sucked at puzzles. Jake and Alex and Jeremiah aren't even attempting to do the puzzles, so I assume they suck at puzzles. So I don't want to call anything early because it's only episode 2. We have our disaster tribe.
I would have never thought this would be our disaster tribe either. Going into it, I thought it was for sure going to be yellow, but I'm shocked to see that it is blue. Yellow, and then yellow is the strongest tribe out there. Also, one thing I want to throw in just quickly about this challenge is when Sophie nailed her knee when she was jumping from that platform, and Jeff's like, oh my gosh, she nails her knee, or you're banged her knee or whatever. And then you see what ends up being a bandage loose on her knee and all bloody and stuff. The whole time I'm watching this challenge, I'm like, is that dead skin just falling off of her leg? I thought it was dead skin the entire challenge. I know I can't be the only one who thought this. So let me know in the comments if you thought that too. I thought that she was doing this challenge with dead skin hanging. And then like you see her, even when they're digging up the ladder, her legs up like this, like not in the sand. I'm like, I can't look at this. This is like, we started with Survivor 49 in episode 1 with Nicole throwing up. Now we have her dead skin on Sophie hanging by a thread
off her leg.
Luckily, like later on in the after the challenge, you see it and you can see a little more of a close up on it, and it is just a bandage loose on her leg. But I was like cringing the entire episode, be like, I'm gonna get infected. Jeff needs to get medical on this. This is terrible.
Stop the challenge.
Stop the challenge. She's going too hard. She's gonna tear it all. I'm like dying on the inside.
But it's like the challenge is the only thing, or the puzzle is the only thing that matters in any of these challenges, especially in the pre-merge. So it's like I think we found our disaster tribe. I think they might lose every challenge. They might like be like a full-blown Lulu from 45, and they lose every challenge, and they end up getting like 2 people left on the tribe, and then they have to tribe swap or they have to merge. But it's just, I mean, they're just terrible at puzzles. They can't do any of the puzzles. They can't even make progress on the puzzles. It's not even like they're losing. They're not even like competitive in the puzzles.
No, so
like, I think that we kind of have our disaster tribe here. And through 2 episodes, that's proving true. So we get to this pre-tribal scramble. Alex finds a beware advantage alongside Jake, and they open it. This actually happens before the challenge, They find the beware advantage before the challenge, and what was interesting is that it didn't activate until after they lost their first immunity challenge following the beware advantage opening. So we see them find it. It's like after you lose your challenge, then you lose your vote, and you got to go to the water well to dig something up. Well, they lose the challenge to go to the water well. I thought this was a pretty fun Beware advantage. You have the ball and chain wrapped around the water well, and you got to untie it, and there's a key on it. And then you got to go find a chest in the woods. And when you find the chest in the woods, you can use the key to open it. And then boom, there's your immunity idol. Now, the issue is it seems like Alex really wants to keep this between him and Jake, but people keep showing up and they have to tell Sophie what's happening, and Sophie's helping them find it. And then they have to tell Jeremiah what's happening because Jeremiah busts them in the act, and then Jeremiah's helping. And like, it was kind of your quintessential, we're all looking for the Beware advantage thing. But the one thing that was interesting was that Sophie found the chest that the key opens to get the idol, and she didn't tell anyone about it.
No.
And this is something I've always kind of wanted to see players play with a bit more, which is like, well, what happens if someone shares a Beware advantage with you and then you just go do it yourself? Like, do they still not have their vote even though the idol's been found?
Yeah.
Can they keep that idol even though it's your Beware advantage and your clues that led to them finding it? And I feel like we haven't really seen the rules of Beware advantages be bent as much as I think they could. And we got a taste of it. And then she can't keep the chest that has the idol in it hidden long enough. And Jeremiah or somebody finds it. And then Alex opens it up, and boom, Alex now has an immunity idol. What do you think of this whole Beware advantage idol hunt?
No, I thought it was a cool idea. The one thing is, like, if you're an individual doing this by yourself, say you found the Beware advantage, and then you go and you get that ball and chain, you know how hard that would be to hide that from either 5, 4, even 3 people in your tribe, to hide the fact that you're carrying this big ass ball and chain to the other side of the island to find the box that it belongs to. I feel like it's an impossible challenge to do on your own. I'm really interested to see if with yellow or red, if they end up finding the Beware advantage and it's the same kind of shtick, how is that going to play out if it's an individual trying to find this? Now, I love that Sophie was selfish enough to be like, I'm going to try to hide this box now, eventually get the key from Alex and go open it for myself. I agree with you. I want to see how that plays out. In my head, I would think that even if Sophie finds it and Sophie keeps it for herself, that's fair game. Like, she took
it should be.
Yeah, and then he would lose his vote. And I think that'd be a huge swing as far as what's going to happen with this alliance, and it would be a huge swing in the tribe dynamics if that does play out. Now, we do see Alex find it, and he obviously now has the power. He has the idol. 4 people out of the tribe know that he has it. He's going to go to Annie. He lets Annie in on the fact that he has it as well, which I think was a smart move, because for whatever reason, he needs to work with Annie, or Annie in the future, if she does survive this vote, like say she, uses her shot in the dark and it pans out and she stays. Like, I think that it was a good move for him to get that out there in the open with someone that is thinking that they're his number one. So the one thing is, I think Alex absolutely fucked up this situation. I think he should have absolutely used this idol to take the shot at Sophie. And you brought it up earlier in the episode, and I think it's a great point, and it's something I was thinking about as well. If you take out Sophie, who is number 1B or number 1A with Jake alongside you, then instantly Jake has to go with you because he has no other options. Then you protected Annie. Annie will see all the votes that were going to go for her. And then now Annie is so indebted to you. If she wasn't already, she already thought you were her number one. Now she solidified you're my number one. So you have Annie on your side. You have Jake, who has to go with you, even though he might be pissed off you took out his next best player, in the alliance with him. But now who else is he going to go to? Jeremiah? No, he's going to be like, listen, that sucks. I wish you would have filled me in, but you're still my guy. I got to go with you. Like, I'm in on it on this point. The fact that he saved that idol, I think it was because he was scared. And this is what I worry about with players, is they're scared to make the move early and use the idol on someone other than themselves. I always have said the idol should always be used to whatever advantage you need, whether it be playing it on an Annie or someone that, is on the out, and taking out someone that is a direct threat to you, even if you're working with them, because then, 1, you get people on your side because you protected them, and 2, now you have the majority. You have literally all the people you need to go further in this game. What's going to help him now? Yeah, he can use the idol for one round, But say they go to tribal council again after that, and it's Jake and Sophie left. I feel like Jake takes Sophie over Alex.
Yeah.
Right? Say they
Yeah,
get rid of Jeremiah next because Alex uses idol on himself. Or he might not think he needs to use the idol, that he's in good, and then they could take a shot at him because he has the idol. I think getting that idol off of your back, being like putting it out there and putting it to good use. Because now, guess what? If you use the idol, people don't think of you as, oh, Alex is with us, but he has an idol, so we got to be careful of him. We need to get rid of that idol. You've used that idol, you've shored up your numbers, and you have Sophie, your biggest threat to your relationship with Jake, out of the game.
Yeah. And he puts himself in just a very strong position, and he's very insulated at that point. And like that's where you want to be.
And you don't have the target.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have the target, and you have some easy targets around you. If you end up going to tribal again, Jeremiah is like clearly on the bottom of those four between Annie, Alex, Jake, and Jeremiah. So you have an easy toss with Jeremiah. And also, you could always throw Annie back under the bus if you need to.
Yep.
Now, the ideal situation is you don't go back to tribal. And if you do, the ideal situation is everybody's cool with Jeremiah. But in the worst case scenario, you're forcing a 2-2 tie if you and Annie refuse to break from each other. And then you can tell Jeremiah or you can tell Jake, we are not breaking. If you guys want to make this a rock situation, we can do that. But we're not breaking. And I guarantee you, one of them will jump to your side to not have to go to a tiebreaker. Like, so you just put yourself in a very, very, very powerful position if you take Sophie out of the game. And as you said, you have bona fide number ones in both Jake and with Annie. Maybe you need to do some damage control with Jake afterwards, which is fine. But, you go up to him, you tell him, like, look, man, Annie's working with us. We just saved her. She's indebted to us. And, like, you were telling me that I was your number one this whole time, that, like, we were this bromance. So, like, we're fine. You and me, the Jake and Alex alliance, are fine. So, like, are you revealing something to me about you and Sophie that I didn't know about?
Yeah.
Because if so, then, like, that's on you, and you're showing me that you're not trustworthy. And if that's not what's happening, then everything's fine. I'm here, you're here, and we now have a bona fide third in Annie, who's indebted to us because we saved her. So,
and another selling point too is you could be like, look, I also did this because Sophie was so bad in that challenge. Like, clearly she's not helping us.
Also, yeah, she's losing puzzles for us. Like, she's losing puzzles for us. So why do we need her here? Yeah. So I think that the damage control wouldn't have been that serious.
No,
I think he would have been a very insulated player going into whatever the next round of the game is going to be. And he chose to play it safe, and he's not in a bad position now. No, but he does have a target on his back because of the idol. His number one ally is somebody who has hooks in his brain from an opposing player. And he's somebody that is going to have to really rely on the word and the trust of the people around him instead of being able to truly take control of his game, which he would have been able to do had he saved Annie tonight and took out Sophie. So I don't want to say it was a blunder because I don't think he's in a bad place now, but I think it was a missed opportunity to really insulate yourself and put yourself in a power position in this game.
I do think that it was a blunder. Like, in my personal opinion, I think this might cost him the game in the long term because, like,
if they go back to tribal again, do you think that his name is on the line?
I think his name is on the line, and he might not think that he needs to play his idol. Like, he might think he's so good with those people around him that the target's going to be on Jeremiah, especially since those three were the ones who found the idol together, and then they kind of just added in Jeremiah late. But he's not going to. I mean, I think he should realize that you are the one with the idol. You're going to have the biggest target because people are going to want to flush the idol. So no matter what in this situation, he's going to have to play the idol next week. And if he would have gone in and played the idol tonight, then what worst case scenario, it's 2-2 and he's not flipping on you. So even if Jake decides he wants to team up with Jeremiah and go after you, then guess what? It's a 2-2 vote. We go back to a revote. You're still safe. So it's like, in my opinion, I think it was a win-win-win to play the idol tonight. I'm actually shocked it didn't happen. I kind of figured it wouldn't happen because Sophie has been such a big person on our screen. Yeah. She's been attracting a lot of the attention opposed to Annie, who we've got basically just this episode on. Yeah. So I figured it was going to be Annie, but going into this tribal council, I was like, you have the prime opportunity now to take out the biggest threat to your relationship with Jake. It just makes all the sense of the world. And you're the only person giving Annie the time of day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you know, we look at Annie as a player, and classic, like, second boot, a little too bossy around camp, not effective enough in the challenges, an easy vote out. I thought that she seemed like a cool person. I look forward to meeting her in person one day. I'm hoping our paths will cross at some point at one of these watch parties or something. I mean, she seems cool, but it just, in terms of what we got out of her edit, it was just kind of too bossy, not good in challenges, easy vote to go home in an early pre-merge round. And that's kind of what it is. You know, tough spot to go out, that second boot. It's always a tough spot because you don't get the first boot title. You know, being the first boot, you get a little remembered because you're the first boot. And being the second boot, it's just like, you know, we'll be asking who in a couple months. And that's, you know, a very mean thing to say. And I know that Annie the person is probably a wonderful person. And again, I can't wait to meet her and talk it up with her. But as a character, as a player in the season, really tough spot to go out. So my heart goes out to her. She goes out in the TK spot from 47. And, you know, I hope that she's having fun with it. I hope she did it well. But I thought this was a fun episode. Some people, I think that right now we're getting a lot of very sound but very boring gameplay through 2 weeks. Everybody is taking the safe route. Everybody is making the alliances and doing the things that they need to do to make it to the next phase of the game, whether it be tribe swap or merge. And like, I have no issue with that, but it is kind of boring to watch. Every single tribe is following the same format, with the exception of Yellow, which we're getting no screen time for whatsoever. So I want to see Yellow go to tribal so we can see more, because they have the only interesting strategic dynamic going on. One thing we didn't talk about that I want to, we're up against it here. I got to run soon. Shoe Bandit. I think this is dumb. I think that it's just kind of silly. I think that he's clearly just trying to do something for TV, which like sometimes works, but if it's obvious you're just doing it for TV, it's not that fun. Why? Just to F with people?
It's honestly, he's doing it for TV, but it's getting to the point now where your numbers are dwindling so much that like the obvious answer for who's the shoe bandit is going to come true like real quickly, right? Like, and at the same time,
to camp carrying somebody's shoes, put them down, grabbed another pair of shoes and said, whose shoes are these? And then that person lost their shoe.
It's so stupid because it builds distrust, and it's something that doesn't need to happen. Sure, it's funny, and maybe some people think, hey, oh, that's a funny joke. But then there's going to be a lot of people that are going to use that against you, especially in a tribe where your numbers are dwindling.
Yeah, but here's what he needs to do now. Like, it's obvious what he needs to do. He needs to steal his own shoe. He needs to take his own shoe and hide it and then be like, someone took my shoe. What's happening? Yeah. And then all the heat's off of him for being the potential shoe bandit.
That's so what he does that.
If he does that, I'm into it. But if he doesn't do that, I think it's dumb. All right.
And then real quick, just to your point, though, I think that this, through 2 episodes, I'm happy to see where this is going. I do think, yes, it is a little boring in the fact that we have the normal tribe dynamics where it's 4 against 2 in a lot of these tribes, but you could see the pieces in place where it's going to fall apart, right? Outside of the red tribe, everything else feels like there's pieces in place where things are going to fall apart. And I'm excited to see it play out over the season.
My last comment on the episode is the canteens. Why do they not use the same canteens that they gave us in 47 for every single season? I hate on any season of Survivor where their canteens are just water bottles. They just have water bottles. It is the easiest way to take the immersion away from the show is when they're walking around with like these Yeti water bottles that just have decorations on them. We had legit canteens, like circle canteens with like a screw-on knob that you had and it was made of like straw and like it was a Indiana Jones canteen that we got. And for some reason in 48 and now in 49, they're giving them these like water bottles. Like, it's like this is my Survivor bottle. It's literally this. It's just one of these, but with like a sleeve on it that's Survivory. Why? They're their own Survivor. Give them canteens. They're surviving.
And you could use it as a pillow.
Like ancient hidden temple, like do the vibe. Why are you giving them this? This is not a tribal Survivor water bottle. They should have a canteen, not a metallic water bottle. It pisses me off. I watch it. I'm like, oh, somebody in the art department and production made that.
Did you get to keep your canteen?
Yeah, it's hanging up in my room. And it's mine looked like you found it in a old hidden temple somewhere, and you had to sneak it out of the temple while the natives chased you with spears and blow darts, and you have this canteen and you use it for water. It's not fucking this. It pisses me off. I tweeted about it. It gets under my skin so much. And this isn't the first time they've done it. They've done it in seasons past. If you want to see the worst canteens in Survivor history, go watch Game Changers. It is so bad. It is lit. They don't even decorate it. They just give them metal water bottles. It is so bad. It's like, what do you have the art department for? If you're gonna go buy a bunch of Costco metallic water bottles, why do you have the art department there? Explain it to me. What are those people getting paid for? Nobody is standing up in the meeting saying, hey, we could actually make like some legit, like, you know, Legends of the Hidden Temple canteens if you want, like some Indiana Jones stuff. Like, we don't have to use these shitty Costco water bottles. You know that, right? And then someone saying no to that, it pisses me off. Anyway, tune in to Gabe's Big Move every Tuesday at 7:15 p.m. Tune in to the Survivor 49 after show. We'll be doing it right after the show ends every single week, every single Wednesday. Bobby, let the people know how they can keep up with you on the stream.
Yeah, you can find me twitch.tv/Bobby Goodsby. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter/X at Goodsby Bobby. And then right here on Reality After Show at After Show, I go live with my live stream every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So I'll be live again tomorrow afternoon, 12 noon Pacific to 2 p.m. Pacific. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking a little bit more Big Brother because that's what everyone wants to talk about right now. But we'll also be talking about Survivor and The Amazing Race, which I plan on watching right after this. So, guys, definitely tune into that. We go live. I take all of your comments live on screen, and I comment, or I read your guys' comments live on the screen and do commentary on what you guys have to say. This is our show, not just my show. So definitely check that out. And also check out our football podcast. We do a weekly football podcast here at Reality After Show. We would, what is that? Tomorrow we're going to be recording that. So
right
tomorrow,
before, Thursday Night Football.
Right before Thursday Night Football, we will be live here on Reality After Show, breaking it all down with our sponsor, Watertown Whiskey. Shout out to them big time for everything they do for us. And I think it's about it. Oh, Johnny's going to be doing a podcast about the floor here soon. His episode tonight aired, so he was going to be on the he was having a watch party at his house watching that. So guys, check out that. He'll be breaking down his entire game from the floor. So go check that out. And I think that's about it that we've got on right now. Yeah. Check out Lauren Pratt's 99. Oh my gosh, what's the name of that show?
99 to win or something? 99 to beat.
99 to beat. Thank you. She does great work on that. She had interviews with Sandra Diaz-Twine, so go check out with that. And that's about it, I think we got for the channel. But tune in next Wednesday. We'll be live with the Survivor After Show. With that being said, Gabe Ortiz at Gabe Ortiz. I'm at Goodsby Bobby, and we will see you guys next week.